If you were fired from your job for having no creativity? What if you started multiple businesses that all failed, leaving you bankrupt? Imagine being rejected over 300 times by banks who said your idea was ridiculous and would never work. Would you give up? This is the story of a man who was told he had no imagination and went on to create the most imaginative empire in history. This is the story of Walt Disney. Born in 1901, Walt's childhood was far from magical. His father was a strict, harsh man who moved the family constantly, chasing one failed business after another. Young Walt had to wake up at 3:30 a.m. every single morning to deliver newspapers for 6 long years. He barely slept, and his childhood was defined by pure exhaustion. But he had an escape: drawing. Art was his joy, his only real passion. At 18, he landed his dream job as an artist at a newspaper. But just 1 month later, he was fired. His editor told him he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Crushed, but not defeated, Walt started his own animation studio, Luck Fogram. It went bankrupt within 2 years. He was so broke he was eating canned beans and sleeping in his office. At 22, he was a failed artist with no money and no hope. He took a one-way train ticket to Hollywood with just $40 in his pocket. No one would hire him. They said cartoons were a dead end. So, with his brother Roy, he started again, this time in their uncle's garage. They created a character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and it became a hit. But then, his distributor stole the rights to Oswald and most of his staff. Walt lost everything, again. On a train ride home, heartbroken and furious, Walt started sketching a new character, a mouse. His wife suggested the name Mickey. Mickey Mouse was born from failure. Steamboat Willie, one of the first cartoons with synchronized sound, was a sensation, but Walt didn't stop. He pushed for the first full-color cartoon, and then the first feature-length animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Everyone in Hollywood called it Disney's folly, saying no one would sit through a long cartoon. But when it premiered, it became the highest-grossing film of its time. Even then, Walt dreamed bigger. He envisioned a magical park where families could have fun together. Disneyland. He pitched the idea to banks and investors. They laughed at him. He was rejected 302 times. 302 times, he was told his dream was impossible. But Walt believed. He mortgaged his house, sold his life insurance, and borrowed from everyone he could. On July 17, 1955, Disneyland opened. It was a disaster. The pavement was wet, rides broke down, and the press called it Black Sunday. But Walt didn't give up. He fixed the problems, listened to his guests, and within a year, Disneyland was a massive success. Sadly, Walt passed away before seeing his final, grandest dream completed, Walt Disney World. But his brother Roy made sure it was built. Today, the Walt Disney Company is worth over $200 billion. All because a man who was fired for lacking imagination refused to stop dreaming. So, if you've failed, if you've been rejected, if you feel like giving up, remember Walt Disney. He once said, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible. Your failures aren't the end of your story. Shit. They're the beginning of your masterpiece. Your rejections are just practice for your breakthrough." As Walt proved, if you can dream it, you can do it. So keep dreaming and never stop believing. Thanks for watching.